Peace, peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Sheikway L, a.k.a. Lord Abba, a.k.a. Mr. Just the Facts. Chairman Nah. I wanted to get into this discussion again today about reparations because it is the only discussion that's important right now. I don't know of too many other discussions insofar as justice is concerned that is more important than this particular topic. You know, we give our heartfelt condolences to our Muslim family over in New Zealand, victims of white Christian terrorists that basically sprang from the American ideology, if you will, of what's called white supremacy. Today we call it European psychology. And I definitely want to start the show off with that. We give all praise to Allah. We don't stop being Muslim or Moors. We don't stop being us just because of anything. I mean, like I tell people that try to have a debate with me about this particular topic, we are in fact American descendants of this particular institution called slavery. And we have to deal with that, whether you call yourself Moor, Muslim, whomever. You know, we have to deal with that fact. It's Islam, brother Damian Wilson, Islam, brother Will Smith Day. So I want to get into this a little bit because this topic has consumed me. I'm really digging it. You know, as I did my interview on Sarnetta, I repeated something that I said from years ago or been saying for the past couple of years. No matter what your school of thought is, we need to find something to gather and rally around and behind politically. And it's my opinion that this reparations argument is that particular thing that we all need to rally behind. You have myself, whom some consider a prominent brother in the Moorish movement, representing Islam, our form of Islam, Islamism, the practice and study thereof. I've noticed a lot of brothers from the Hebrew Israelite camps. I've noticed brothers from several camps and sisters from several camps that support the reparations movement, that support the ADOS movement. And it's good. It's getting pushed back by the liberal mainstream media because I'm going to get to your question, sis. I'll see it. That's a good question. Joy Reid, she's not an American descendant of slavery. Like, it's time to be real and honest. The people that are totally against ADOS have some type of background that's not linked to the American descendants of slavery. You see the rapper Talib Kweli, he's going in on ADOS. Why? Because he's not in that particular link. He doesn't trace himself back in that line. You see brothers in the conscious community like Garfield, who I'm going to just say is just straight hating. He's doing the same exact thing. Who else, man? Dr. Umar Johnson. I've seen a video recently where he said he has a lot of Cuban descent in his blood. So all of these people that are against reparations, and it's kind of crazy to me because why would you be against reparative justice when all other nations of people that have been harmed by the United States of America, Islam, Ishmael Bey, have been repaired? Like many of the Native American tribes have been repaired. I've shown that. I was on a Bernie Sanders thread, and I've shown that, and I'm gonna get into some of that as well. I want to start with this article. This article was published earlier today, I believe it was. No, actually, it was published a few days ago, March 13th. It says 2020 Democrats have started to clash over slavery reparations, over slavery reparations, but a new poll shows most liberals support the idea. So in the article, they were able to show that 40% of quote unquote liberals, regardless of ethnicity, support the idea of reparations. So my brother Ali Bey asked me an excellent question earlier, because let's get to another article, the Washington Times. And this is the newly announced presidential candidate out of Texas, Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke against traditional reparations for African Americans for slavery. So, Carissa Charles, Islam. It says this. Democratic presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke is not in favor of traditional reparations for African Americans. That word traditional reparations is key, because in their minds, reparations, like Obama was trying to say, and like all of those people like Kamala Harris and the rest of them whom are not ADOS are trying to say, well, if you put the money, and like Bernie, into better schools, then somehow this is reparations. Like our people are dropping out at the highest rates. Trump just made a cut that's by billions that is going to affect reparations. Islam, brother Sheikh Nasir Ma'el. So it says, presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke is not in favor of traditional reparations for African Americans for the legacy of slavery. It's not just during that time period. There's a whole series of events that happened after that disproportionately disadvantage us as a people. And it says it is important to confront the truth about how black people have been treated in the U.S. At a house party in Muscatine, Iowa on Thursday night, Beto O'Rourke said the United States needs to recognize the systemic racism systemic racism exists in the country. So, it talks about other presidential candidates, including Senator Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, and former House of Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro have also spoken of the need for the U.S. government to reckon with and make up for centuries of stolen labor and legal oppression. Some have talked about using tax credits and other subsidy programs. Now, this is key, right? Because when it says at a house party in Muscatine, Iowa on Thursday night, O'Rourke said that the United States needs to recognize that systemic racism exists in the country. I mean, duh. Like, what's new about that particular statement? And my brother Ali Bey said this earlier. He said all of these people just sound like a bunch of robots spewing the same exact talking points when it comes to this particular issue of reparations. And it's funny because when you look at people like Kamala and some of the Democrats who do support it, these are the people that are up under Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi has come out and said she supports reparations. Now, why would she do that? Because, of course, she learned her lesson from the last time. And what was the last time? Okay, let's go to this article. This is the leaked this was published September 1st, 2016. Leaked 2015 memo told Dems don't offer support for Black Lives Matter's policy positions. Washington, quote, don't offer support, unquote, for the, quote, concrete policy positions, end quote, of Black Lives Matter protesters. The chief organization charged with electing Democrats to the House of Representatives warned its candidates in an internal memo leaked online Wednesday. The document was posted online by Guccifer 2.0. Anybody following the Russian hacking and interference into our elections was familiar with this name. A hacker who has claimed to be responsible for the Democratic National Committee email leak. Guccifer claims the document is from the personal computer of House Minority Leader. Now she's the House Majority Leader. This was published in 2016. Nancy Pelosi, Democrat out of California. So this particular person, Nancy Pelosi, is going to learn from the mistake to not go against Black Lives Matter, because that's one of the things that helped get Hillary Clinton defeated. The number of our people that didn't vote for her. I didn't vote for her. But now they think that we're stupid and that we're going to come out and vote for Kamala Harris because she want to sit around and put some hip hop songs on and say she smoked weed and she puts hot sauce on her chicken. I don't know if y'all remember the Hillary Clinton interview with the Breakfast Club where Charlamagne asked her a question like, you know, what's one of the things that you keep in your bag? And she was like, hot sauce. And Angela Yee looked at her like, really? Like, come on. But this is what Hillary Clinton said. Like, she just walks around with a bottle of hot sauce in her bag as if that's a way that she's going to connect and unite with us. So we are becoming better informed. We are becoming more politically aware. Again, check out a lot of the YouTube channels. I mean, there's going to be people that don't feel us particularly as Moors, as Muslims, and that's okay, because that one thing that could never be taken away is that we are ADOS, and so is the Hebrew Israelites, and all the people whom are, no matter what they reference or represent, you know, because you have some people that may be more church bound. So they may even look at Islam a certain type of way. And who knows, you know, but that doesn't stop us from pushing forward with our particular message, because we've been on this message. Again, Noble Drew Ali spoke about reparations all the way back in the 1920s. So we're not going to shy away from any of it. We're going to join in and we're going to do what we're supposed to do insofar as making sure that our politicians are held responsible. There was a list. The brother, I think his name is Brother Phil. He does the Advise show on YouTube. Go subscribe to that brother's channel. I watch a lot of his videos. And that brother is thorough, and he reports on the news with the slant that we need as a people with our own media. And he showed where, man, at least 20, maybe 25, maybe even 30 members of the CBC, which is the Congressional Black Caucus, are against reparations for our people. They didn't sign the bill sponsoring H.R. 40, including our favorite quote-unquote black politician, Auntie Maxine. Like, we got to hold these people accountable. H.R. 40 is the bill that studies reparations. And the brother Tone and the sister that and the people that they're connected with, actual economists, these people have already done all of the research. So that doesn't, I mean, the research is done. The damage is being perpetuated every single day. In my opinion, a part of the racist eye, the eye of the racist, like Michael Cohen said when he was driving through Chicago with Donald Trump during his testimony on the Hill. He said that when they would drive through the black neighborhoods, Donald Trump would say, oh, look at this place. Look at these people. Only blacks can live like this. And a part of that is due to this issue of the racial wealth gap that's widening and widening. And we have to do our part as informed citizens in this democracy. And democracy meaning our ability to go vote. People can confuse Republican democracy or democratic republic with a democratic democracy, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not getting into all of that right now. Let me get back to this sister question real quick. The sister Khadija Ibrahim asked the question, How do we black/more descendants go about getting reparations? Do we need to get lawyers? Well, this is what the H.R. 40 bill is about. The H.R. 40 bill is about studying this issue of reparations. This issue is shown in our everyday lives. Paycheck to paycheck, poor people doing what they have to do or what they feel that they have to do because they feel that they don't have the same options and the same opportunities as everybody else financially. And so this ultimately leads to a life of crime. These politicians, if you listen to them, they're always talking about what they have to do for the middle class families. See, they don't talk about poor because it's like, well, the poor get food stamps. Like we got to peep these tricks. The poor get food stamps. That's their safety net. So we're not going to focus on them. We're going to focus on creating a strong middle class. Now, you always hear Bernie Sanders talking about that, creating this strong middle class. But what about quote unquote black America, the Moors in America? The middle class, the middle of what's called black America has a net worth of $1,700. The lower half of that same spectrum of our people is worth like 1 to 0 or 0 to $1. So you get reparations by, number one, studying the issue, studying the legacy of it, and then simply proposing the bill and having the politicians sign off on it. It's that simple. But we have to do our part. And you said, do we get lawyers? Most of those politicians are lawyers. So they know exactly how to research this information using the legal methodology. Let me see. If anybody have more questions, let me see. Brother Yamel Bey said, wouldn't that be asking for a handout when things can be handled lawfully? You know, I've gotten that. I've gotten pushback from people that say, I don't know, I see that as a handout. So I want you to do this, brother. Let's just say you have the ability to live 300 years. Let's just say. And for the first 100 years of your life, you were forced to work for free. Forced to work for free. You were in bondage. You were forced to work. Then you were free. And over the next 200 years, the same people that forced you to work for free put every obstacle in your way so that you couldn't get a good paying job, so that you couldn't own a home, so that you couldn't live in a nice neighborhood, so that the jobs that helped supply the neighborhood that you did live in got shipped overseas for cheaper labor so that the company could expand its bottom line and give bonuses to its top corporate heads. And you never made ends meet in all of this time. But you do remember that you worked 100 years for free. And that other people that didn't look like you, well, they were forced to do certain things, or they were damaged by this same people. And the same people that forced you to work, well, they gave those people a check because they were economically disadvantaged due to the harm that was caused to them. Would you call that a debt owed or a handout? And that's a question that you have to ask yourself, beloved. Let me see. Next question. Okay, he says, what is the action you feel should take place and how it should be carried out? H.R. 40 has to be passed. Everything has to go through the chain of command. It's like if you work and you having an issue with somebody, you go to your supervisor. Your supervisor don't handle it, you go to his supervisor. Supervisor not handling it, Then you go to the people in corporate. And this is what this bill does. This bill puts the issue on the table because now on the House floor, once the results come back from this particular bill, then we get to see not only what's owed, but we get to see the damage that was caused by the years and years and years of not being able to catch up in this society. And it'll be carried out by simply putting a vote to the floor. See, once the bill gets proposed for reparations, it becomes contingent upon the representatives to now sign it into law. And this is where our own political action takes place. And this is why we got to create political allies. We're only 12% of the population. We cannot do it on our own. We have to create political allies. But if they're not for reparations, then how in the world can they be friends to us? Because what they're essentially saying is, we desire to keep you all at the bottom because this helps us maintain supremacy and be looked at as gods. For a lot of these politicians, politics is apotheosis, man. They're looking to be revered as demigods. Brother Sheikh Nasir Ma'at El says, I see it as compensation for a debt. Oh, that's an actual fact. Islam, Sister Sakina Pleasant Bay. Sister Khadija Ibrahim says, it's not no handout. We should inherit what our ancestors built. Give me land tax free. I will be happy. And here's another thing. People have to familiarize themselves with the talking points that ADOS is talking. And don't just look at ADOS. Look at NCOBRA as well and other people that are talking about this movement. And be careful, because Joy Reid had somebody on her show, I believe that was yesterday morning, some random brother that claimed to be representing NCOBRA, and this guy he didn't know what he was talking about. But NCOBRA had already put out a statement saying we are not against ADOS, and we are urging people to stop talking against ADOS. If that was an official statement, let me preface that with an if. But from what I saw, it appeared to be an official statement from NCOBRA. So we have to be careful that we are not looking at this as some form of a handout, because this is a debt owed. And like, given the analogy that I used earlier, we're not gonna catch up in this land. These brothers and these sisters have been doing this study, and I'm still digging into it. I'm still learning. My position is changing and evolving on so many issues relating to it, and so many people, politicians. Y'all always hear me bigging up Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but now I'm looking at her with the side eye because of her reparations remarks. She believes that everybody should be included. No, reparations should be for our people, because these are the people that were harmed by this particular government and the corporations that benefited from this government, private individuals in the South that represented the bourgeoisie class. Like, we have to now start to put all of these pieces together. And the best way I believe to do that is for us to start mobilizing politically, no matter what our group is. And we have to familiarize, I was saying that earlier, a few minutes ago, familiarize yourself with the talking points so that you can know exactly what's going on. And I'll do my best to help decipher anything that any of you may have some issues with, because I'm studying it. But I'm also, go watch that Brother Tone video. I mean, I don't know how these people feel about me. I'm blocked in Brother Tone's chat. I don't know why, but that doesn't mean that the message is something wrong with the message. The message is right and exact. The data is right and exact. We're crunching the numbers. We're pulling this stuff up. We're seeing. Go read Ta-Nehisi Coates' piece on reparations, the case for reparations. This conservative that I believe it was, who writes for the New York Times, I believe his last name is Brooks, wrote a piece last week saying why he's now in favor of reparations. So I went to his Twitter feed and all the people was like, okay, I'm rubbing my eyes. I wake up and I see that this guy, he must be like this ultra conservative dude, is now in favor of reparations, which goes back to something my brother Ali Bey said earlier. Who are the people that are against reparations? Is it people like a Beto O'Rourke that has this Irish ancestry? Or is it even a person like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez who has a Spanish, Puerto Rican ancestry? A lot of what we would call Anglo-Saxon Americans that we see whom are liberals appear to be for it. Bernie Sanders is a Jewish American. So we're starting to notice this trend here as well. So, I mean, we need to start stepping up. We need to have these conversations. And one of the reasons why I'm stepping out is because I know that you have groups of Moors who are opportunists, and they're going to try to take this thing and twist it. I've already got reports back from brothers from nondescript Moorish groups that's already trying to formulate something to go around ADOS as opposed to just simply trying to work with the group. But this is just what we do. This is exactly what we do. A lot of our people are just simply not, I mean, we don't believe in these terms, Negro, black, and color, but there's an analogy that I use. I call it the Negro chip. And the Negro chip analogy means that there was something implanted within us during the times of slavery. It was inserted into our genetic code. And what's his name? W.E.B. Du Bois called it the Negro problem. And Prophet Noble Drew Ali said the Negro problem is being solved the best way that it could. And that was by way of the Moorish Science Temple of America, or the Moorish Divine and National Movement, meaning they were doing their part in those days to try to solve this particular problem. Unfortunately, that problem hasn't been solved, and it has been allowed to fester and infect the movement like the Moorish Science Temple of America that was designed to dissolve that particular aspect of our genes. So I really just wanted to come on here and touch on that briefly. I didn't want to stay on too long. I always say that I didn't want to stay on too long, and I wound up being on for an hour anyway. I had got through some talking points. Now, when you have some Europeans that say that they shouldn't have to pay back for what their ancestors did in slavery. I've seen that in a lot of the comments, particularly my comment on Bernie Sanders' piece when he said he was against reparations that Yahoo News put out on Facebook 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it was the most commented on comment. And a lot of them were saying, and I've seen this on Twitter, I've seen this on Instagram as well. Why should I have to pay back what my ancestors did? And the thing is, we're not asking you to directly pay for anything. The United States pays Israel $3.8 billion a year. Once you break it down over the past several administrations, $3.8 billion a year for what? Like this, they already have a military in the region that's second to none. They got the United States backing them if any war does break out, and yet we're giving all of this money. They keep asking, where's the money going to come from? Well, where does the United States of America get $3.8 billion to send to Israel? Like, let us be honest about this, man. We're not asking you directly to come out of your pocket and give up anything. But the United States of America owes us, and she's going to pay. She's going to pay, and that's just a fact. Let me see some of my other talking points I put here. And another thing, I don't believe that these people see us as full citizens anyway, if they don't believe that we should be repaired. They are tacitly saying that in their own ways. Oh, sister, you're right. You said you might have missed it, but what do you think our reparations should be? I got into that, and I got on another point, which led me to another point, and I forgot to get into that part. Okay, reparations should be this. $400,000 for every adult ADOS. Every adult ADOS over 18. This is how you begin to close the racial wealth gap. And I believe that within 10 years, it can close. It would lower down abortion rates. It would help our population grow. We're halting. We're having, in some states, we're having more abortions than we are live births. This is genocide. This is genocide. And most of it is because we can't afford to take care of the children. Parcels of land all across the United States of America. The federal government owns, and you can look this up, so many square acres and square mileage hectares of land across this country. By designating certain areas so that we can start our own cities and build up our own cities to inhabit. Free college for 20 years. Tax exemption for 20 years. Like, this is the debt that the United States of America owes. Tax exemption for 20 years. Free college. Free trade schools. And a $400,000 check for every adult male and female, every adult ADOS member, American descendant of slavery. I believe that's what reparations look like, amongst other things. And I'm following the lead. Noble Drew Ali, when he was the leader of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Everybody knew this. But when it was time for the Moors to gather in Chicago and Illinois proper, a lot of them did so under the Republican Party then because it was left-wing. Don't confuse right-wing Republicanism and left-wing Republicanism, because a lot of people do that and they just confuse themselves. And then if you show them the link, you post all of these links showing that they're wrong, most of them don't care. They just, I don't know, a lot of our people just like holding on to falsehoods. But Noble Drew Ali called those Republicans our leaders then, because they were leading in that field. And you shouldn't feel less because someone else is leading in a field that you have no mastery of. Like, that's ego and jealousy. That's why Umar Johnson and all of those type of people are against the movement, because it's like, if I can't lead it, I just don't want to be a part of it. And that's just absolutely crazy to me. So let me see. Noble Drew Ali said, a beggar nation cannot develop the highest spiritualities in life. And we've been forced to beg because we've been, peace, sister Joanna Underwood, we've been put at the bottom rung of the economic ladder for so long. And every time we try to climb up, somebody's at the top drizzling grease down on the ladder, and we just keep slipping back down. And when you get hungry, you beg a little. You begin to beg. Your stomach start growling. People on the street that can't make ends meet, when they holding up signs, they're out there begging. And the Noble Drew Ali says that a beggar nation cannot attain the highest spiritualities within them. So what that means is that so long as you're not in a heavenly abundance mind state, your countenance and your will be low. And if your countenance and your will be low, it opens the door for sinful discourse in your mind, and sinful discourse in your mind leads to sinful behavior. Let me see. And I was reading, this is one of the talking points. I'm about to get up off of here, y'all. This is one of the talking points from the Ta-Nehisi Coates piece. And I don't know if it was his direct quote or if he was citing somebody. And it says, it is said if you stab a black person 10 times It is believed that the healing starts when the assailant drops the knife, meaning not while he's stabbing him. Like, no, like, okay, you finish? Okay, now can we start the healing process? And so long as we, and I don't want to say we, just America, quote unquote, white America, European America has this particular mind frame. A lot of these conditions are going to continue. They're going to perpetuate themselves. So with Beto O'Rourke, Bernie Sanders, and whomsoever else is against reparations, what they're saying is they desire to keep us at the bottom position. The Democratic Party and its leftist liberal machine, they don't care about us raising up. Because if you can feed a first person false hope, false change, then that person is he's gonna always eat it. And then he's going to pass that on to his children, who's going to pass it along to his children. And it's going to be a continued cycle, which has been the case. The problem is that cycle is being broken in this day and time, and they don't really know how to handle it, man. And this reparations argument, it's not going away. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't care who's not feeling me. I'm going to keep pushing the reparations argument. I got a low platform too. Now, let me see. I thought about Dave Chappelle on his comedy show when they was talking about Donald Trump. This is where we get into the politics of why we need a person of an American descendant of slavery. Like Barack Obama was not that. Barack Obama had no connection to our plight as a people. But Dave Chappelle said, I seen all the white people in line with their cold, smeared faces. That was a funny line. Talk about what Donald Trump is going to do for them. He's going to do this for me. And Dave Chappelle said, he's not going in there to help you. He's going in there to help me. And that was prophecy, if you will. Islam, brother Jason Ragsdale. Because that's exactly what happened. The little man got nothing. People's tax returns shrink. Twitter blew up when people got their tax returns. And Trump, like they're loving these disasters and these massacres and these white supremacist shootings because it gets Trump to not talk about, well, he's going to always talk about the Mueller investigation, but how his tax plan failed and it only benefited the people who've already been benefiting in this nation for so long. And for us, that represents like 0.1%. I'm just throwing that number out there. But insofar as the millionaire and billionaire class, how many of us are represented in comparison? How many of us? It can't be that many. So, you know, one of the things that the brother was able to show, the brother Antonio Moore, one of his shows, was that the number of European American or white millionaires that grew under Obama. Well, I don't think we had one. I think I could be off on that. Don't quote me directly, but during Obama, if there was a closing of the wealth gap, it stagnated. And then it reversed itself. And this is why their numbers are showing that by 2053, our total collective wealth will be a goose egg at $0. We have to step up now. Tangibles, 2020, the 2020 election. It's time for us to stand up. It's time for us to organize. We have Democrats who are a part of the Congressional Black Caucus. I propose starting a whole new party. I just have to be honest. I just propose a whole new party. I understand their logic, though. The Democratic Party is the party that keeps giving us this empty promise. And they never let us ride on the horse. So now we're going to knock the rider off the horse and we're going to jump on that horse and we're going to ride around waving the flag of reparations until we get it. And that's logical. That makes perfect sense to me. But we have to now start holding the politicians accountable, because they are accountable. I'm going to start doing my platform through Google Hangouts. I'm going to try to get a whole interface going so we can have interactions. I know we got a lot of people that's like in the conscious community that want to have this conversation and be a part of this conversation as well. And a lot of them really don't know how, so they just come on my threads on YouTube. Instead of talking about the topic, they talk about the Moors enslaving our people and all of this other nonsense that I already debunked years ago. But we, you know, can have a back and forth dialogue, and I can answer questions direct. And again, I want to leave y'all with my mantra. Y'all know my mantra. If you don't know, here it is. Don't fight the power, become the power. And then you'll have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.